Okay guys, I got another project I'm getting started on. What around here, a lot of the corn farmers, and they grow field corn like what you feed animals. A lot of them will go like down the middle of their field and plant a bunch of sweet corn. And one of my friends sold me some today. I asked for 25 dozen, but they didn't have quite that much. So I think I ended up with 9 dozen ears. So I'm going to show you some of the things that I do with the corn. First of all, I'm getting the corn, kind of going through looking for the ones with worms that might have worms. And if they do, they're going to get set aside. And the ones that look pretty clean, they're going directly in the freezer, as is. In the husk, the silk, everything. Then what you do when you want some corn, you just take out however many cobs you're going to want for the meal, pop it in the microwave. I think it's 3 or 4 minutes per ear. When it's done, you cut the end off and just kind of push the cob out. The husk, the silk, everything comes with it. You got corn on the cob in the middle of winter. So right now I'm sorting my corn, and I'll show you what I've got, and we'll go with different ways that I preserve sweet corn. Okay, later. Let me kind of give you a little idea of what I'm looking for to see if it's wormy. A lot of times you can tell as soon as you look at it that there's going to be a little wormy. And then I'll just go ahead and take a little peek, and immediately I could see that there's a worm in there. So no big deal. I'm going to pluck that worm out, put it in my bowl with the husk and bits of corn, and the chickens are going to love it. Alright guys, the old farmer and I have been working on corn. I think I've got maybe 2 dozen ears left. I put a little over a dozen just straight in the freezer like I told you I was going to. Then he and I sat here and husked and silked the corn. And then after I washed it up, it works best for us this way. He just took a knife and cleaned off all of the kernels. And we have 2 of these big bowls full. Then I also took some corn, just the whole ear, didn't clean it, didn't do nothing, put it in the microwave, and I think 3 or 4 minutes per ear, I don't remember. I cooked it until it was hot, and I'm going to try and show you what I've done. I've got a mess over here, so just excuse it. Okay, while the old farmer was doing the cooked corn, the raw corn, I was working on the cooked corn. And I took the ear, cut the bottom off, and I'm just not strong enough, but you can just slide it out. And when it's cooked, it just peels off, silks and all. You're going to have just a little bit. I'm going to take this and cut, of course, that bad end off. And then I'm going to clean up the silks, and same thing. I'm going to take a knife, and I'll show you how I do that. Here's the cooked corn I've done already. I'm just going to take this cob and just go down like this and cut the kernels off the cob. Then I'm going to put them in this bowl, and as you break them up, then you get whole kernels. They're going to come off looking like that, but you just break it up and you get whole kernels. This is going in the dehydrator. So I'm going to do a few more ears. Actually, I'm probably going to finish up what's left, and this is going in the dehydrator. I'll show you that. Then the other corn, the raw corn, is what I'm going to can. Alright guys, I want to show you what I've done. This is the, we'll call it the cooked corn that I did in the microwave and kind of cooked it and then cleaned it. What I'm going to dehydrate. I've got 8 trays of corn so far, and I'm going to let the dehydrators run overnight. It's going on to 8 o'clock at night, and I've got a lot of cleanup to do, and so I'll be doing the canning tomorrow. I haven't counted how many ears I have left that I want to dehydrate, but I'm going to guess at least 2 dozen. So let's get this going and we'll check back in tomorrow. Guys, it's the next day on our first batch of dehydrated corn, so let's see how it turned out. Beautiful. You want it to be really dry, no moisture in it, and I'll tell you the truth, guys, I like the looks of the dehydrated corn better than the canned corn, but I guess it's just because I really like dehydrated. Anyway, this stuff is great. You can eat it plain as a snack. It's sweet, sweet and crunchy. You know, I told somebody it's almost like nature's candy. You can, excuse my mess over here. I've already told you, it's a canning season. Throw a couple handfuls in a pot of stew or soup. Rehydrate it just like you would for a regular meal, which I often do. I put it in a saucepan and let it simmer, and it tastes so good. It is so much better than what you buy in the grocery store, canned or frozen. So anyway, guys, I've got one more batch. Okay, guys, off of those there were 8 trays in the dehydrator. This is how much dehydrated corn I got. And I'm sorry, we just didn't count yesterday when we were husking and desilking and cutting the kernels off. We had between 9 and 10 dozen that we had to do, and we were just cleaning corn like crazy and getting it ready to go so I could get it put up today. I've got 19 ears right here that I'm getting ready to do the last batch. I'm going to dehydrate these as well. I was going to go ahead and cut the corn off the kernel, or the kernels off the cob, cook the corn, or cook it on the cob, either way, but cook the corn and then dehydrate it. But it's so much easier to do it the way I'm doing it now, and it's the same result. I'm gonna put these in the microwave. It's like 3 to 4 minutes per ear, and when they're cooked, I'm just gonna cut them off and put them in the dehydrator, cut the kernels off, and put them on the dehydrator tray. I think you saw me do that with the first batch, so I'll come back after I get it all cleaned and show you what we end up with and how many trays I have. Okay, here's my cleaned ears. They're cooked right on the ear. Cleaned the husk right off and the silks. Rinsed them off, and now I'm ready to cut the kernels off. I'll tell you what, guys, we've tried all those tricks that people say help so much, but to us, just going down with a knife works so much easier. Seems like by the time you try all those tricks, you could have been done. Anytime I do a big batch of corn, I think about 34 years ago, the old farmer and I had picked a pickup bed full. And just imagine the back end of a pickup, that whole bed was full. And got it from my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. Well, they picked a pickup bed even fuller than ours. I put all of ours up myself, and my sister goes into labor. So luckily, my brother-in-law and the old farmer, they husked and silked the corn, and I only had to put it up. But back in those days, I didn't know about just tossing it in the freezer. And it took several days because I blanched every single ear of corn. I learned in a hurry that it wasn't necessary. Okay, I'll be back when I get all the corn cut off, but that's all I do. Just cut the kernels off the ear and gonna toss it in the dehydrator.